RWBY Volume 3, Episode 7, Beginning of the End. Now, before I get into the actual episode, I have to say this is my second time doing this review, which is why it's basically coming out a week late, because I reviewed it on Monday, but I had an issue with my camera where basically the USB port broke, so I had to basically change how I film all my stuff in a different format, and I couldn't upload that video because it got split in half, and I couldn't just edit it with like this little sliver in the middle just being completely absent. So hopefully I'm gonna kind of get through this and kind of go through my theories much faster than I did before, just to kind of get through them and not make this super long like the first time, because I know, all my thoughts and everything from the first time I did the review. But as I mentioned in my review for the World of Remnant episode, if you guys hadn't seen that, I had no idea this episode was even coming out. I thought the first episode of RWBY that we were going to even get, period, not even including World of Remnant. I thought the first thing was going to be this, upcoming weekend. I didn't know that we had a World of Remnant episode at the end of last year, or that this is going to be the first episode and it would be the very, first weekend of the new year. I had no idea. And when I saw it, I was like, this is a really good episode to come back on, because it's a great dark episode. I really loved it personally. And of course, right off the top, they answer like the really big question from the opening scene with Cinder and Emerald: who was the one that kind of made the mirage? Of course, the big theory was Neo, because of what we'd seen with Yang. And I just realized Yang is the only person out of the main team that's actually been hit with the illusions, because Yang dealt with Neo before. She was the one who fought Neo, even though she didn't use any illusions when they were fighting on the train. Not that we know of, at least. But she was the one who fought against Neo, and then she's the one who also gets tricked by Emerald. So I kind of find that a little interesting. Not counting, of course, like the people that we saw in this episode, or Koko and Yatsuhashi, who Emerald did trick during their fight. So I love that they answered that, and it was just really interesting getting Emerald as the answer. And my weird real world connection as to why Emerald is the one who made the illusion is pretty weird, but I honestly think it's based on the Wizard of Oz and the Emerald City, because I don't know how you haven't seen the Wizard of Oz, but if you haven't, spoiler alert, the whole thing of getting to the Emerald City, once they finally get there, it's fake. It's not what they thought it was. And even though her name's Emerald, this saying, all that glitters isn't gold, fits so well for her character. And I thought it was really cool. I could easily be stretching, but I was like, maybe that's what it is. Because I thought for sure, personally, everyone was saying Neo. I was like, I feel like it's Mercury, because, and I mentioned this before, Mercury in real life makes people hallucinate. And I just thought that makes perfect sense, because even with the Koko and Yatsuhashi thing, it worked perfectly. Like, they only fought him for the first half of that fight. He's shooting all this, basically Mercury at them. It's like, okay, it can make them hallucinate and, see certain things. And I thought it was definitely pliable. I did think Emerald was a possibility, because she seemed to show up out of nowhere, even at the very end, because they had Cinder, when she was sitting in the chair, no one was there. Like, she was sitting in a chair, she was all by herself, and then poof, here comes Emerald at the end of the episode. And that kind of made me suspicious. Like, where did she come from? Because otherwise they could have just shown her there. So it could be a distance thing. Like, that really could be something where she was in that area, at least, somewhere, that entire time during that fight. Because they didn't really go too far once they changed the battleground to just that little circle platform. She could have been super close and just been invisible, but I guess that technically wasn't what happened, because she mentions in the beginning of this episode, or I guess technically it's the end of the episode, but she mentions even messing with two different people and making them see what she wanted. That gave her a headache, so it definitely wasn't like she, tricked the entire crowd, but it was pretty cool to get that answer. And it was interesting to see that it was Emerald, because that does still leave Mercury, and I feel like it would be crazy, but that whole team, or at least 3 out of 4 of those people, could be illusion based, or have like illusion based semblances. So we have Neo, who makes, I guess, like the facades that you can actually shatter. They're like basically walls, that like still images. And then you have Emerald, who can make you see whatever she wants you to see, and then you have Mercury, and if they do it like actual Mercury, it's basically like you just go crazy. Like Emerald controls what you see, but with Mercury, if he used his semblance, then you would see whatever you wanted to see, and you would kind of be fighting against your own demons. So they could still go that route, which I kind of think would be cool, and it would be so deadly to have. I mean, we already have two of the people on the team make illusions, so that's dangerous enough. But if they did add Mercury and it was actually, his semblance just makes people hallucinate and see whatever's in their own head, that's insanely dangerous. That makes up for a very deadly team, and I would love that. And they're already all great fighters, so great fighters plus illusions, and then of course everything that happened, where we officially know now how powerful Cinder really is. It shows how deadly their team is, and I would love to see Mercury actually be added to that, where it's like, nope, he totally does make people see certain things, or I guess he makes them see whatever they choose to see in their own heads. But I loved it. It was really cool to get the answer that it was actually Emerald. It certainly surprised me, because I thought, excuse me, I know everyone said Neo, but I was so sure it was Mercury because of a lot of the different real life connections that the characters have, power wise or even just character based. Like Sun is based off of Sun Wukong from A Journey to the West, which is an ancient old story. So I was like, well, I mean, if they're tying that to real life, they could easily tie Mercury to Mercury. Like, it's his name, it's the color, it's the thing. Like, it just fit. But it ends up being Emerald, which, like I said, may or may not be a tie to the Wizard of Oz in the Emerald City in that film. And I could easily be wrong, but I don't know. That was my weird tie. I mean, Glinda Good Witch, so it's in there. But I certainly love the way that they did the format of this episode. I think, like everyone, by the end, it was like, okay, cool, we got that answer as to who made the illusion. And then after that, it was like 8 more questions came up, because we still don't really know what happened with Yang, because it basically ended in the same place as the last episode. Who knows what the weird deal was with the creepy spider thing that Cinder had when she used it on Amber. And it's just like, oh, here's a spider out of my hand, and it's shot some symbiote on her face. And so I don't know, but there are a lot of questions. But it was still a really awesome episode. One of my big questions, honestly, is with Mercury, because I want to know what happened with him and his dad. Because when they were doing that scene, and they had like the black screen, and they were talking and stuff, and then it starts, and he's breathing super hard. I thought that Cinder and Emerald were fighting against him, and then it was like, we're looking for this guy, and it's like, oh, it's him right there. His house is burnt down, and his dad is dead on the ground, and he's got bandages wrapped around his legs. I'm like, I feel like I need to know what story just happened there, because a father and son don't just fight for no reason. Even if your dad's an assassin, it doesn't mean you're just going to instantly start, trying to kill each other. I kind of want to know what led up to that. Like, he seemingly has no one else, so it's just him and his assassin dad. Excuse me. And it's just like, he's breathing super hard. He's like, what? And I was like, okay, so they weren't fighting. He was fighting his own father, killed his dad, and the house is on fire in the background. I felt like there was a whole big thing. I felt like that could have been an episode in itself. But I was like, all right, it just happened the way that it happened. And then, he joins the team. And we also find out he has fake legs, which kind of blew my mind. Admittedly, I never would have expected that. There was nothing that kind of hinted at it. As far as I can think, I mean, there's really nothing. Like, there are generally a lot of hints, as far as people's semblances and stuff like that. But I don't think there were really any hints whatsoever as to him having metal legs. And really, even when he fought against Pyrrha, I think the natural, common answer is, well, he has, bullets and stuff that come out of his shoes, so they have to be mechanical. They have to be made out of metal anyway. So it's his shoes that are metal. So it was pretty surprising to see that, and I was like, okay. Of course, he wasn't actually wounded or anything, which was funny, because it looked like he had, like, a little cut when Emerald was doing the illusions. Like, it looked like he got a scratch, but it was like, clearly it's like a broken leg is what they're trying to fake. But when they show it, it's like, oh my god, this tiny little scratch and itty bitty bit of blood. I was like, that's kind of funny that that's like the little illusion that they showed. But that was really cool. That really surprised me. He has fake legs. I was glad to see those weird brown slash tan pants get burned away because I was like, that just looks weird to me. Like, he had his shirt, he had a different shirt, but it was the black and silver, and then it was just like tan slash tannish brownish pants. I was like, this just looks off to me. But it was cool seeing the characters with different sort of concepts and different costumes. And Emerald had long hair, and she had one thing that I found very interesting about her costume change is that her guns were the same weapons, but they were brown in the flashbacks. Like they were just normal like revolvers. They were just brown guns. So I found it very interesting that they actually did it where basically she painted her guns to kind of match her name and her color scheme. And I was like, that's actually really cool because she was basically like an Old West character. She had like two revolvers, and she was definitely kind of decked out in full brown. And now kind of the emerald sense of her name and color scheme definitely stands out more compared to when they showed the flashbacks, because it was basically just her hair, and her entire costume was pretty much brown and white, like really like an Old West cowgirl. So I thought that was actually kind of cool. Cinder, of course, I think had like the craziest change, and that just involved all this stuff with her absorbing the power, and it kind of answered a question as to her during the Dance Dance Infiltration episode, exactly what was going on as far as her having those two blades, because she still has her weapons, but she uses, I guess it's magic. I guess I'm assuming it's a combination of magic and dust. It's not just magic. It's dust inside the clothing, and she always does that. She always like brings dust off of her clothing. She does it even in the very first episode. That's kind of how she. It seems like that's how she gains even more power through her magic, and she kind of goes along her sleeves, and then she kind of does her spells or whatever. So I thought it was really cool that she had the two blades and the arrows, and the blades form into a bow to shoot the arrows. So that was really cool. I believe they did basically an exact replica of the Dance Dance Infiltration episode when she was in like her stealth outfit. Like she jumped in the air at some point, and she had like the three arrows, and it was kind of the same move. So I thought that was pretty cool. Something I noticed about her costume that was slightly different. It's a different dress technically, even though it looks almost exactly the same. It's like slightly different, and I think the only real difference is that, unless I'm wrong and it still has this for a regular dress, but I don't remember her having like a little cross, like on her neck for the clothing. And I thought it was interesting that she doesn't have that anymore, but Emerald currently has that. She didn't have it in the flashbacks, but now her clothing has that little X cross that goes around her neck. So I was like, I don't know if that was intentional. I'm assuming it was intentional to show like, hey, she met this random woman being Cinder, but eventually she grew to really respect her, and so in that very minor sense, she kind of changed her image based on Cinder's old image, with the little cross. So I thought that was kind of cool. If it was on purpose, it could have been an absolute coincidence, but that tends not to be the case in this show with anything. So I feel like that was on purpose. But I certainly loved the action. The fight at the end of the episode is certainly very cool. Crow jumping in, that really surprised me, and I know a lot of people are wondering, like, how does he not know who they are? Technically, he hasn't run into any of them, not that I can recall, and I don't think he's really paying any attention to the fights on TV. Some people say, like, their faces are blurred and stuff. Considering, he was basically dodging the whole time, he wasn't running at anyone to, like, look at them and attack, so they could play it that way where he really didn't get to see, because basically all he was doing was holding Amber and dodging the entire time, except for like that very first strike. But I like to think he saw them, or he'll recognize something, because I mean, Cinder's in disguise, but Emerald and Mercury literally look exactly the same. I mean, hairstyles are different, and you can't see that he's got robotic legs, but still, I feel like that has to come up in the next episode where he'll talk to Yang, and he'll see them and be like, something, is familiar about them in some way, shape, or form. So I hope that happens fairly soon. And if not, he'll figure it out, when it's too late. So either way, he'll realize, like, oh crap, I fought them before. I just, I was either super drunk when I was fighting, or I got so drunk I totally forgot. And it has been, considering it takes place during, or this episode takes place before, during, and after Blake's trailer, it was a while ago. So it was at least 6 months. It was probably like 8 or 9 months since that happened, because they've already done a full semester by the beginning of volume 2, and volume 2 probably was only like, I think that whole volume may have only been like a week. It may have been a couple of weeks actually, because they tend to skip time without saying anything until it's like totally random. Like, oh yeah, that was like 4 weeks ago. I was like, oh, all right, so it's another month. So it's probably been like 8 or 9 months since that happened. But I don't know. I feel like he'd still remember, or at least recognize something about the characters. Um, Considering he didn't really fight anyone except for Cinder because she was doing all her distant magic moves at that time, it would be hard for him to recognize any of the combat stuff, even if he did watch the fights. So there are definitely a lot of different ways they could make it work where he just doesn't recognize them at all until it's, far too late. But I'd like for him to do that because he already attacked Winter, and that was pretty cool. So I kind of want to see him be like, oh crap, these are the people that attacked Amber. And then, things get really crazy because once they're busted, we know it's going to get nuts. So either they're going to get caught and it's going to get real crazy real fast, or their plan is going to continue, which is what they want to do. And basically, I guess their plan is to just have everyone seem like they're randomly bad. So I don't know how many times Mercury can't get punched in the leg 8 times. But that's kind of their plan, is to have them basically have everyone attack each other. Like whoever wins will attack the loser, or vice versa, or whatever. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I certainly love this episode. It was a great first one for the new year. The preview for the next episode is out. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. I probably won't even watch it. I don't like watching the previews because they're so short, and it's just like, it drives me crazy seeing those 38 seconds, and then it's like, crap, I have to wait. So I generally just wait until I get to see the whole episode. But I'm looking forward to it. Considering RWBY is in the promo, I'm assuming that this episode won't have anything to do with flashbacks. We're going to actually get to see what happens with Yang. We probably won't get any answers as far as what that weird spider thing was. Um, Coming out of Cinder's hand, if that's just a summon, or what the deal is with that. Because it seemed like, based on that, it seemed like she already had magic powers. And then, of course, she just got them, like, super amplified when she took some of Amber's abilities. So, don't know if we'll get that answer. I'm kind of wondering now if the whole spider thing was on purpose, with it looking like symbiote, like Black Suit Spider-Man or symbiote Spider-Man. So maybe that was on purpose because it was the spider and Spider-Man. So it's an obvious connection. So maybe that was on purpose, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But it was definitely a great episode. Action was really fun. I love all the little twists that they had in there with Mercury with fake legs. We actually got to see Neo for like 0.5 seconds. It was basically like, she nodded and that was it. And her eyes changed colors like, oh wow, we had no idea it was Neo. So, that was pretty much all we got. We didn't get Roman, which kind of sucked. We did get Adam though, although he didn't fight, so I was still a little angry about that. But I wanted to see Roman. I thought he was going to be in the flashbacks. I thought that was him talking at first. I didn't realize it was Adam. But I thought it was Roman that was talking, and maybe it still was. I only got to see the episode like, I think once or I think I only watched it all the way through one time, and I couldn't watch it again before doing this review because the internet really sucks here. But I thought we were gonna get to see him in the flashback, which I would have loved to have seen what they did with him if they gave him like a different hairstyle, because he has like the fancy look and everything. I would have loved to have seen him, even if it looked slightly different. I think that would have been pretty cool. And also, we still don't know the deal with Neo whatsoever, so if she was with him when they first met Cinder, that would have established a little bit, because at this point they do seem like they're the pair, because that's where Neo first showed up, was with Roman. So, I don't know if they're brother and sister, maybe totally unrelated, they just happen to both dress very fancy, or what the deal is with them. But I want to know more about them. Definitely want to see Roman, which we might actually see, considering Yang is going to be taken to prison. We're probably going to get to see Roman, because I assume he's still just in some random jail cell in some random airship, hovering around the tournament right now. So, looking forward to seeing Roman. Definitely can't wait to see how things play out with Yang. Love the fact that it's getting so incredibly dark. It's definitely, even the last episode, this season is definitely living up to the very dark tone of the opening, which kind of why I love the opening. It's so dark. So I'm really looking forward to things happening in that respect. We still have the rest of the tournament because I'm sure they aren't going to end that. So we're going to get to see everyone else fight. Who knows what happened, what'll happen as far as the villain plan and everything like that. But we do have Penny, who can't have any illusions put on her. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but I feel like somehow there would be some way for her to know that someone's using a semblance, and it'll be like, something weird is happening right now. Or maybe she'll just see Emerald and be like, what are you doing? And then it kind of blows everything apart. But I'm looking forward to it. Of course, though, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And, even though we still ended, with Yang just, going away, it's kind of pointless to ask, what do you guys think is going to happen with her again? Because I'm pretty sure I did that last time, because that was like the big crazy question. So at this point, I definitely want to know what you guys thought about seeing the creation of this team, or at least most of it, because like I said, Roman and Neo were kind of just not in the flashbacks at all. They obviously limited time, so I understand, but definitely want to know what you guys thought about their meetings, and of course, Emerald being the one to do the illusion, whether you guys thought it was Neo, or if you're like me, I was so sure it was Mercury, but I want to know what you guys think about your expectations, either being right or wrong about who did the illusion, and in general, getting to see these characters meet for the first time, and everything we got with the White Fang, I thought it was minor, but it was still really cool to see Adam, and even see Blake and Adam together. I was like, that's really sweet, even though it was just like, hey, check out, this is where this is happening at, for a trailer. But definitely want to know, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.